it wasn't bad to be a poor man when there wasn't great communication. Because when you were in a poor country and you didn't have an internet or a Facebook, you thought the whole world is poor. So we are part of the poverty. But now when you have those eyes and those ears, the modern, and you look around, the young people begin to ask, why is there freedom and affluence? And here it is not. Now the problem of a wealthy young man and a poor young man is different. Because in a wealthy family, the number of children is small, restricted. But the investment in every child must be greater. In order for him to compete with modern age, you have to invest in him more in education, more in freedom. And he is becoming a mature person at a very early age. Today, a girl or a boy of the age of 14, they are better built physically, they are more informed intellectually, they don't like the stories about the past. They think you are trying to teach us irrelevant lessons. What is it important to know exactly in how many battles did Napoleon participate? We know he killed enough people, so we shall remember him. If you want details, press on the internet, they'll tell you exactly where they took place. Stop with it. We are more interested to compare and see the future. On the other hand, the poor youngsters who are coming from large families, they don't know how to escape poverty. They know that they cannot remain as they are. And in many of those countries where the poor youngsters are coming from, women are discriminated. If the women are discriminated, the children are discriminated. If the woman doesn't have a chance to be educated properly so she can educate her children, if the woman doesn't have a chance to become a constructive partner of the nation, the whole family is discriminated. And actually, it's a hopeless situation. You know, President Obama asked me, who is against, really, democracy in the Middle East? I told him the husbands. No husband wants to give equal right to his wife, and all the husbands don't want to give equal right to the women. If they won't do it, they can't escape poverty. Now the young generation lost respect as the governments are hesitant to govern. The young generation doesn't give credit to the governments. They are very suspicious. They say, you have your own personal agenda, go ahead, we are not interested in you. They want straight service, whether we are poor to escape poverty, whether we are better off to have a better future. And that leads us to the revolution. Actually, the revolution is in every home. You know, when I meet with my children and grandchildren, to be frank, I learned that better for me to listen to them than them listening to me. They are better informed, they are up to date, they are not committed by prejudices and memory. There is a saying in English saying, seeing is believing. The fact is, believing is seeing. When you look with your eyes, you look with your prejudices, and every person sees the same thing with a different eye. And people are impressed by general impressions. They don't go into details. And it's very hard to create confidence in the future. For me, I mean, it's clear that we have to be fair and let the young generation having their own future. We shouldn't press upon them to follow us. Let us admit that we were not so great and complete and moral as we claim. And they connect with everybody, black and white, rich and poor, different nations, and they won't stop it. They won't ask your permission to do so. But they're also living in a world which lost its balance. The globe lost its balance. It's overpopulated, and it's hardly moving around today. There is a shortage of air, of water, of energy, of opportunities. And we are growing because in the poor countries, there are poor families with many children. You know, I'm looking around, for example, a country like Egypt. Egypt has grown 5 times in the last 50 years. Nothing grew in Egypt for 5 times. Neither the Nile, nor the industry, nor the tourism. Furthermore, along with the Nile River, there are 9 countries, and each of them with a growing population. The Blue Nile begins at Ethiopia. Ethiopia is also a country of 80 million people. Egypt is 84 million people. And they're also hungry and poor, and they don't have food. So they say, you want to take my Blue Nile? Why? Because the British once promised you. You have the White Nile in Sudan. Sudan has also grown. It's another 60 million people. And I don't think that we can save those countries from poverty. Because it's an illusion to think that if you pump in money, the situation will really become normal and promising. You know, foreign aid has a problem. Foreign aid actually is taking money from poor people in rich countries and handing it over to rich people in poor countries. And you create a little bit of corruption. So money is not a solution. And once you use the money, you cannot reuse it. Finish. You cannot recycle money. The only way we have to think how to go out of poverty. And even if those countries will buy computers and Facebooks, it's not enough. Computers and Facebooks will not make them rich. It is a social change. Like, for example, giving women equal rights. Like, for example, stopping to lie. A dictator cannot exist if he cannot lie. And when you have those communication, it's very hard for the dictators to resist. So you see the dictators now fighting for their life, either with arms or by surrendering. They know it's the end, in a way, of dictatorship. So we have to ask ourselves what to do. And my answer is, the only reservoir we really have is in science. To run our world more scientifically and to add new science to the existing one. More scientifically, for example, when you take water. Water you can produce, you can save, you can recycle, you can find trees that drink less. I'm coming from a country that actually doesn't have land. Very small piece of land. Israel is a 15th size of Ukraine. Ukraine is 15 times larger than Israel. The piece of land we have is desert, refusing land, very difficult land. We don't have water either. We have a famous river, the Jordan River, but this river produces fame, not water. You cannot irrigate with it. It's not a river, really. We have 2 lakes, one dead, the other is dying. So we have no land and no water. What could we do? We went to science. Usually agriculture is an agreement between the Lord in heaven and the poor farmer. It's a very poor partnership because the farmer cannot hang on the Lord in heaven. Here he brings you a drought and here he brings you troubles. So we have a third partner, which is science. And our agriculture is high tech.